to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Jessie. I post new videos here on my channel every single week. Budgeting content, grocery hauls, other lifestyle content. So if that's the sort of thing that you're interested in, click the subscribe button so you can come back and check out some more of my videos. Today's video is going to be the budget results for the fourth paycheck in the month of October. It was a rough week, you guys. If you are familiar with my channel and have been watching me for a while, you know that every week, once all of our spending has happened and we are kind of closing out the week before we start up our new week, I like to go back, take a look at my budget, and see how closely I stuck to the budget. If I am under budget in a category, I get to use a black pen. If I am over budget, I have to pull out the dreaded red pen. I love these pens from Parkoo. They're the Eraseable pens, but not the biggest fan of the red one because the red one means I made a bunch of errors, I overspent, I didn't stick to my plan, didn't stick to my budget. And you guys, this week, there's going to be so much red ink on this page. I think we did worse this week than we have any other week of the year. It was bad. We just threw the plan out the window. We made unexpected purchases. We ate into our miscellaneous budget, which is supposed to catch all of those things, and then we also had unbudgeted expenses on top of that. So there's going to be a lot of red ink in this page. Let's just go ahead and get started. So, if you're not familiar, this is the Budget by Paycheck workbook. My husband is paid on a weekly basis, and so we do our budget on a weekly basis. We budget every single paycheck. I write out my budget in the Budget by Paycheck workbook, and I use a deluxe monthly planner from Erin Condren to keep track of all of my expenses. I use these expense tracking color coding stickers that I make for myself. I don't sell them or anything, I just make them for myself. You can get this sort of expense tracking sticker on Etsy. Sarah Marie Stickers is where I have gotten budgeting stickers in the past, and she's got a really great shop, so you can check that out. But if you just go onto Etsy and type in expense tracking stickers, you can find this sort of sticker readily available from lots of different shops. And I just use a color coding system where I keep track of all of my transactions right here on this calendar, and it works out great for me. It really helps to keep me accountable, really helps me to keep track of everything. I know lots of people do a sort of like a ledger, like you would with a checkbook, and write out their transactions that way. I've also tracked my expenses that way previously, and that works out great. It's really, really important, though, that you track your expenses and you know where your money is going, because it is so easy to overspend if you're not paying attention. Something that I learned this week is it's really easy to overspend even if you are paying attention sometimes. So this was a really bad week. I'm usually much more disciplined with my budget, but this week we just kind of went off the rails. So let's find out by how much. So I have my little key here where I keep track of what each of my categories are. We are looking at the last paycheck in October, so it is the paycheck my husband received on October 27th, and we are looking at all of the transactions for this last week of October, as well as the first couple of days in November. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into it and see just how much we messed up this week. So the first thing that we are going to look at here on my Budget by Paycheck workbook is my grocery budget. I budgeted $150 for groceries for the week. If we consult my little key here, we can see that groceries are on this pink color, and I made a couple of transactions for groceries this week. I spent $138.54 on Tuesday, so let me just go ahead and pull up my calculator, up the brightness, so hopefully you guys will be able to see this. So we spent $138.54 on Tuesday. And then we also spent another $5.99 on Halloween. And I don't believe we had any transactions for November. We did not. Actually, all of these transactions for November that are in here are for this first week of November. The only thing that we will be looking at are the bills for this first week, because these are bills that I did pay with my last paycheck in October. So we won't consult this for the actual spending. It'll just be for the bills, which, as you can see on my key, are this blue color. So that was it then for our grocery transactions for the week. I'm going to check them off. I'm really bad about remembering to check them off, but I'm going to try to be better overall about tracking my expenses every single dime and making sure I'm doing a really good job of knowing where my money is going. So then if we look back here at my calculator, we only spent $144.53 on groceries. So we actually are under budget there, which is good news. So we will just go ahead and write that total in. And now we will move on to household expenses. And already I can tell you for sure we are over budget. So going back to my transaction tracker here, household expenses, as you might be able to see, are in this bright green color. And right off the bat on Tuesday, we are already over budget at $30.85. And it looks like that was actually the only household expense. Let me just double check. Yep, because those expenses are for November. So I don't need my calculator, but I can already see I'm over budget. $30.85 in household expenses. And that's just things like laundry detergent, cleaning supplies, toilet paper, that sort of thing. So we were over budget. In weeks past, I've been really under budget. I'm going to go back in November to combining my grocery and household budgets, because there's just some weeks that we spend way more in household items and other weeks that we spend way less. I might consider in the new year just doing a household sinking fund, but moving forward in November, I'm going to combine these two, and if it's a week where I know that I have to spend a lot in household items, I will just try to spend a little bit less in groceries to compensate. But for now, we are indeed over budget for household. Alright, next up we have lot rent. This is a bill. As I mentioned, we will be looking at November's calendar just for these couple of bills. So lot rent came in at $510. We did indeed pay that, and that was just as anticipated. For cable, we budgeted $65. Cable came in at $62.44. So that was under budget. And for water, we budgeted $50, and that came in at $40.32. So that was under budget as well, which it's a good thing that these bills came in under budget, because that will help offset some of the spending in some of these other categories. So let's go ahead and add up the totals for our bills. We have $144.53 plus $30.85 plus $510 plus $62.44 plus $40.32 for a total of $788.14. So we would be under budget in this category, except that we also had some unbudgeted expenses. So I need to add a new line item here for unbudgeted. I have not had unbudgeted expenses in a long time, because typically when I build my budget, I do a really good job of building in a buffer with my miscellaneous in my cash envelope category and whatnot, but we went off the rails with our spending this week. So moving back to my October transaction log here, let's talk about some of these unbudgeted expenses. So if we look on my color coding key here, unbudgeted is in this like dark pink color. And you can see it's a lot. So first up, we have an order I placed with David's Tea. I bought myself some stuff for my birthday. I was not planning on doing that, but then I found some stuff I really wanted, and I justified the spending by saying, you know what, it's my birthday. It's not actually my birthday yet. My birthday is actually this weekend on the 7th of November, but in the spirit of my birthday, I allowed myself to make this purchase. So that's kind of where it started, and it all went downhill from there. So we have $55 for that. I will be doing a David's Tea haul here on my channel so you guys can see what I purchased myself with that $55 when it arrives. It'll probably be a couple of weeks. But if you're interested in that haul, leave me a comment down below, let me know. So we got that. Then my husband happened to be working down the street from our favorite winery, and he texted me and said, hey, do you want our favorite wine? And me, knowing we were already over budget, I should have said, no, we really don't need to be spending that money, but I didn't. So we got our favorite wine and our favorite hard cider, and we spent $34.33. So once again, more money we didn't really have for spending. Then, I mean, we have the money, you guys. We have a buffer in our account for just this sort of occasion, but it's not money that's in our weekly budget. Yeah, okay. So then my husband needed a tool. He works in the plumbing industry. He's a sewer and drain cleaner. All of his large machines and tools and equipment are paid for through his company, but he has to supply his own hand tools, and he broke a pair of channel locks or lost a pair of channel locks or something. He needed a new pair of channel locks. This is something I should have a sinking fund for, but I don't, so $30.68 in unbudgeted expenses there as well. So, I think that's all the red stickers. It's a grand total of $119.98 that I did not have in my budget. So clearly, since I budgeted $0 for this, I'm way over budget in this area. $119.98. Yikes. Alright, so now when we add up these actual totals, $144.53 plus $30.85 plus $5.10 plus $62.44 plus $40.32 plus $119.98. That puts us at $908.12, which is indeed over budget. So, oh, that kills me that we did that, but we did it. We're human. We don't always make the best decisions. Sometimes we think with our hearts instead of our minds, and we do things that we know we shouldn't do, but we did it, so now I have to own up to that by staring this red number in the face. And if that was it, it probably wouldn't be so bad, but guess what, you guys? We did some more overspending in the cash category. So, first up is my husband spending money. I gave him his $40 at the start of the week, and he stuck to that budget. Now, granted, he did have to buy hand tools, so technically I guess I could consider that his spending, and so he would be over his budget, but he stuck to the cash. He didn't come and ask me for more cash, so we're going to stick with that, and we'll leave his hand tool in unbudgeted, because that's really a need. He needed it for work. It wasn't a want. So that's how I differentiated that. Then there's the eating out. Eating out, as you can see, is in this yellow color. I budgeted $40 for eating out. we did some damage with Chinese food this week. So, we spent $44.57 at Panda Express. And then we went to our favorite local Chinese place for wonton soup and egg rolls to go with that Panda Express. And we spent $67.10. Sorry you guys can see the reflection of my ring light in the phone. I had to get the lighting situation better, so I bought myself a ring light, which I'm very happy with how it lights up my videos, but it stinks for the reflection. It is what it is. So yeah, $67.10. So that is no bueno. On the plus side, we didn't have any gas transactions this week. So I budgeted that $40 for gas, and we actually did not spend any of it. Let me pull in my cash envelope and show you guys that. I should have been doing that all along. So, this is my Conscious wallet I've been using and loving for quite a while now. And these are the cash envelopes that came with it. I'm actually going to be getting some new cash envelopes, which I ordered for my birthday, which I'm very excited about. That was actually budgeted for. You guys will see that transaction in next week's budget results video, so at least I wasn't overspending in that aspect. But you can see here in my gasoline envelope, I do still have this $40. But you guys know, if you've been watching my channel for a while, that anytime that I have money left over in my gas envelope at the end of the week, I put this into a sinking fund for gas for a scenario where I need extra gas money in the future. So this $40 is not going to help offset this eating out, unfortunately. This is going to go into savings for someday in the future when I need more gas money. So I'm just going to go into my accordion folder here where I keep all of my sinking funds. I've pulled out my gasoline sinking fund. I just keep the cash behind one of the tabs in that accordion folder, as well as a little index card to keep track of how much money I have in there. I had $113. And I'm going to add 40 more today for a total of 153. So this is going to go right into this fund. And you guys know, anytime that I add money or take money out of a sinking fund, I always count it to make sure that, you know, what I think is in there is what's actually in there. So let's count this up really quickly. 20, 40, 60, 80, 90, 100, 10, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53. So that's $153. That's going to go back into my accordion folder here, right behind the tab marked gasoline, which I don't know if you guys can see there. And that will just go in there for safekeeping until there comes a time when I am out of gas money in my cash envelopes, but I need gas. Gas is a need, not a want, and therefore, if I need gas, I can't just decide I'm not going to take my kids to a doctor's appointment or run an errand that I need to run because I'm out of gas. In terms of my eating out money, I can absolutely make the decision not to eat out if I'm out of eating out money, but I can't make that decision just not to drive somewhere if I have to go somewhere and I don't have gas. So that's why I have that as a sinking fund. So here, I didn't put $40 into my gas tank, but I did take it out of my budget and put it into a sinking fund, so we write in that I spent that $40. And lastly, we have miscellaneous, which is a $40 cash buffer that I keep in my wallet to try to prevent this type of overspending. And originally when I did our eating out and I spent extra on top of what I had budgeted, I thought to myself, that's okay. I will just, use that money from my miscellaneous to even it out, and it'll all turn out just fine. And then we got towards the end of the week, and I realized that I forgot to budget for cider and donuts for Halloween. We always get cider and donuts from one of our local apple orchards for Halloween, and I just totally forgot about it. Halloween was different this year. As most of you probably know, we didn't do any sort of trick-or-treating or really any festivities at all. And the last thing I wanted to do was disappoint my kids further by saying, oh yeah, we're also not getting cider and donuts, because I was an idiot and forgot to budget for it. So the cider and donuts came out to be $40, which was the $40 that I had set aside for miscellaneous. So we stuck to our miscellaneous budget technically, because that $40 is all we spent in terms of miscellaneous. But obviously I then couldn't use that same miscellaneous budget to cover this overage here. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. So, if we look in my cash envelope here, we should see that miscellaneous envelope is indeed empty, and it is. So I already hadn't budgeted for personal money because I was making up for an overspending boo-boo that happened a couple of weeks ago. It wasn't a boo-boo at all. It was a bad decision on my part. So I didn't have any personal money, and then I spent money in the unbudgeted category. We talked about that. Gasoline went to my sinking fund. Eating out, you guys know about the Chinese food debacle. Miscellaneous went to cover those cider and donuts. I do have a little bit of money here in this to-bank envelope that I need to deposit. We couldn't use cash at the apple orchard, so my husband had to swipe his card. So we just took the cash out of our miscellaneous envelope, stuck it into this to-bank envelope, and we'll deposit that to make up the difference. But yeah, so there was quite a bit of red happening in this budget this week. Let's go ahead and add up these totals. So we have 40 plus 67.10 plus 40 plus 40 is 187.10, which is indeed higher than that 160 that we anticipated. So if we just add up our bill total and our envelope total here, would have been 960. 800 plus 160, yeah, 960. But our spending, we'll just subtract the 908.12 and the 187.10. So we were $135.22 over budget in our expenses here. So that is no good. Obviously that money came out of our buffer. We do have quite a large buffer in our account for just such an occasion as this, but this was just bad decision making. This was not being super regimented and sticking to our budget and just wanting to spend money. None of these things, other than my husband's tool that he had to buy, were things that we had to have. They were all wants. We wanted to spend more than what we had in our eating out budget for eating out. We wanted to have those cider and donuts. So this was all just poor decision making. And that is the reason why we are $135.22 over budget. So that's no good. What is good news? That the rest of this was all as budgeted. So we're not over budget on this side of my planner. We never really are. We always pull all of this planned money out in cash and stick it away right at the beginning of the week. We always do this side as planned. It's this side where we can sometimes mess up, and this week we did. So we did set aside $50 for car maintenance, $25 for haircuts, $50 for home maintenance, and $25 for school expenses for a total of $150. We did pay an extra $150 to our debt snowball, which is great. We made that $150 payment to our Lowe's card. That was as anticipated, awesome. And we did set aside an extra $50 into our savings. Now, we could go into our extra savings and pull out the money that we had in that fund. We currently have, you know, $100 in our extra savings. So that would help take away this, not all of this, but some of this overage, you know. But I decided against doing that. I'm just going to use my buffer to cover that. We'll have to make sure that we are putting money back into that buffer in the future so that we don't, you know, get into a scenario where we don't have extra money in the bank to cover these silly mistakes and poor decisions. So that's just what I've decided to do. So that's a look at my budget results for the week. It's a whole lot of red ink. Way more red ink than I would have liked. I guess you could make a case for it's only $135.22 over budget. It could be a lot worse. Most of the time we do a really good job of sticking to our budget, but this week we just went off the rails. And so moving into November, I have made it a goal to track absolutely everything, not let a single dollar go unaccounted for, to be more diligent with making sure that I'm sticking to my budget and not having any of these unbudgeted expenses, and just to control myself. So we'll see. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. You know, if you find yourself having a week like this, try not to beat yourself up about it. The great thing about budgeting by paycheck is you can immediately get right back on track with your next paycheck. For us, that's every single week. So next week is a whole new fresh start. We can remember this so that we don't make these same mistakes again, but we can put it in the past and try to do better next time. So that's what we plan to do. Make sure that you check back here later this week for my first budget for November. And hopefully it'll be a really good week. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you click subscribe so you can come back for all of my other videos, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!